All right, now let's talk about pipe status. This is useful for debugging pipes in bash because pipelines can get very complex. Remember some of our examples where I was piping cat to grep to sed to awk to tr? They can get very complex and it gets kind of difficult to know when something's going on here. So let's go ahead. We're back in our foo directory. Let's move the CSV files into done because we're done with them. We no longer need them. That's great. So let's show what I mean by pipe status. Well, remember, every command has a return code. So if I echo hi, I can also check this and I can see that the call to echo was successful. That's really great. If I were to cat this doesn't exist, and then we echo $, we can see that cat failed. It's non-zero. It's any number between 1 and 255, I think is the max. So yeah, that lets us know that there was a failure here. That's really cool. What if I echo hi and pipe grep for hi? Well, that worked. Grep was able to find hi. So if I do this, you can see that we get a 0 here. What if I were to echo hi and pipe grep for bye? Well, if I rerun that, we can see there's a failure. Echo worked, but grep failed. $? Is always the last thing at the end of your pipeline. Now, this is important to know, and it's important to work with this that way, because what if I were to do something like, let's cat, this doesn't exist. That file does not exist. And let's pipe it to tr, and we're going to turn all the commas into colons. Remember, the file doesn't exist. Let's go ahead and echo $? It was successful. How weird is that? Cat gave us an error, but tr was able to successfully turn 0 commas into 0 colons. You understand how confusing this can get and how weird this can be? Something to be mindful of. $? is going to refer to the last thing in a pipe line. You can set -o pipe fail. This changes that behavior. I typically stay away from it. Some people seem to like it. I have issues with it. I have a whole video on my YouTube channel where I talk about why I stay away from it. It's not relevant to this course, so I won't dive into it specifically, but I want to show you how you can debug this stuff. So how if you're just in a normal situation, you don't have that option set, you can still debug what's going on here. So let's go ahead and take this example. Now that we have this, there is a built-in variable to bash we can access called pipe status. It is an array. So we can't just print it or else it prints the first element of the array. We have to put this here and we have to join it like this. So pretty gnarly syntax, but you've seen this before. We're just going to print out all the elements of the array, 1 and 0. So what that means is cat returned 1, tr returned 0. This is how you can find out if you have a very complex pipeline of like cat, pipe, tr, pipe, grep, pipe, cat. You have something like this. If I echo pipe status, I can see that, oh, cat was a failure. TR, successful. Grep for Dave, failure. Cat, successful. So pipe status is super useful for figuring out, hey, in that last pipeline I ran, what happened? What was successful? What wasn't successful? You could also do something like this. You would never really write code like this because there's no data being passed between the two. But you can do true, false, and then if you print it, you can see 0, 1, 0, 1. So true becomes 0. That's confusing to a lot of people. True is a command that outputs success. Success is 0. False is a command that outputs failure. Failure is non-zero. So that's what's going on here, but you can kind of see it that way. Another way of showing this very simply is we can use subshells. I will talk about these more later, but if I use parentheses, I can run a command without actually having it affect my current shell. So I could run something like exit. If I were to run exit without a parenthesis, if I were just to run exit, my terminal would close, okay? But if I run exit in a parenthesis, then nothing actually happens because it happens in a subshell. So I could exit with a code here. I could exit with 4 here and nothing happens. I could pipe that to exit 7. These are very contrived examples. You would never write code like this. I am just showcasing something. Exit 100 and then exit 0. So if I run that and then we echo, what was it, $? What do you think it's going to be? 0, because the last thing in the pipeline was 0. Here's something very important. If I were to echo pipe status right now, there's only one thing in the pipe status. That's because the one thing in the pipe status was the command that's before it. So you better save this variable right after you run this command or else it's gone, okay? It needs to be the next thing you do. So if I run this, we can echo pipe status. Look at that. Look how easy. 4, 7, 100, 0. We exited 4, we exited 7, we exited 100, we exited 0. So this is how to get the return code of everything involved in a pipeline in Bash. This will be super useful when you're debugging pipelines because they can get kind of confusing. And you may have code where you're like, I don't care if the first command fails or the third command fails. I really care about the second command. I don't know what that code looks like, but you might have it. I have no idea. So that's what pipe status is useful for.